I picked up 3 copies of Poison Ivy #2, including 2 copies of the Jenny Frison B cover, which I'll be discussing more in a little bit. I also picked up 1 copy of Batman 125, the George Jimenez design variant. Apparently this is a new character named Failsafe or something like that. I don't know anything about Batman because I haven't been reading Batman since Punchline went to prison 2 years ago. So I don't know where this is going to be. All I know is that this is going to be the first issue that Chip Zdarsky writes. And I did like Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil run, so I'm optimistic that he can write a grimy Batman story. So I will be doing a review for this, so be on the lookout for that. Now let's get back to Poison Ivy. Alright, so let's get on to the story. So this is written by G. Willow Wilson, and the interior art is by Marcio Takada, which he is doing a fantastic job at it. I think this team is doing great so far. Before we get going, I want to show you guys the Poison Ivy 2 cover. If you guys are coming in to see which cover is the best, I definitely thought that this cover was definitely the best of all of them, including the ratio variants. So far, I think that this is probably the best cover that's been printed so far. And the Dan Mora team variant was the cover from issue #1. So I think that these two are definitely the best Poison Ivy covers so far. But the thing with Jenny Frison is that she does such a great job, and she does consistently great cover art, is that it gets to a point where an artist is no longer really competing with the other artist covers or the other cover artists, but more like she's competing with herself. Kind of like when you get artists in that up in that level, like an Adam Hughes, and to determine if this is one of the best covers, then we kind of have to look at it in comparison to, is this one of the artist's best covers? Now Jenny Frison has a lot of great covers, and I think in order for me to qualify it as the Poison Ivy cover that I'm looking for, it has to fall into that artist, at least the top 5. And I feel like I can find, or I can think of 5 Jenny Frison covers that I would put above this. And it's very difficult, guys. Jenny Frison has a lot of great stuff. And she actually has another one for Poison Ivy coming down the pipe, which we'll talk about that in another video. So awesome. I love the composition, love the colors, love the roses. You can see that she put a lot of work into this, a lot of detail, a lot of line work. I freaking love it. And I just kind of like how it just kind of... you have the busy stuff, the flowing, the details, and then you have Poison Ivy's body is just kind of like open space. I think it's a very well balanced to where it's kind of like it has its places where it's busy and then places where it has a little bit more space to breathe. So I love it. I freaking love the perspective on it as well. Now let's get on to the actual review of the issue. All right, and if you guys are wondering what's in that cup, it's this Mango Cart Golden Road or Mango El Fiesta, whatever. I don't know. It's a mango beer, and I like it. It's a nice little summer taste. I love the artwork by Marcio Takada, as I said before. I love how G. Willow Wilson is writing it. She's also given us kind of a narrative where Poison Ivy's telling us her story as the narrator of the story, but she's not kind of like telling it as it goes. You can kind of tell that with the way the panel works, is that there's a like notebook paper line. So this is, I'm taking it as a letter that's being written. Before, you could kind of have taken it as a letter that was being written for the audience, but it's actually being written for Harley Quinn, because she does address her as a, I love you, right? And then she's talking about Harley Quinn. Again, this issue is a little bit slow, but I expected these issues to be slow. I think I would have been more disappointed if it would have just been like explosions and action all the way across without us having to explore Poison Ivy first. And I think that's what we're doing here. I think that's what I like. It's a lot of expose, but it's a lot of meaningful expose that kind of uncovers Poison Ivy. If you're just kind of peeling the layers of the lettuce or the onion, no pun intended. We find Poison Ivy at a diner somewhere in Montana, right? She's just kind of thinking to herself. You got this guy who's like the cook or something of this diner, is just offering her the food to eat. It seems like a really nice guy, right? And then she kind of has kind of a flashback where people say, oh, people are under this misconception that I'm a vegetarian. And she's like, actually, she kind of goes over this little spiel. And as she's telling this spiel, you kind of get this flashback of her in New Mexico not long ago, where she's like coming up with this guy, right? The only thing that this guy was guilty of is having some kind of agave farm. Get this flashback. Boom, man, check this out, man. Check this out. This is an awesome freaking panel. please, if this is what the future of Poison Ivy holds, if this is going to be the climax of it, please give me more, right? Because I think this is awesome. It really shows how Poison Ivy is ruthless, and it kind of shows like how she, in a way, she goes a little bit too far with her beliefs. She's all doing this because the guy was like growing agave farms, and it kind of disrupts the ecosystem of like bats or some shit. I don't know. Anyways, she's over here minding her own business. Then this hippie lady walks in, or she's kind of poet or something. Anyway, she sits right there with Ivy. She befriends them, and they kind of become kind of friends. You know, they talk about poetry. They talk about the art and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of an interesting point that G. Willow Wilson points out, is that a lot of times artists don't make enough money because of art, right? Because they have to find people that are willing to pay the money to appreciate it. But there's always kind of like politics and the economy involved and stuff like that. So I thought that was a little bit insightful into the world of art. But anyways, the main idea of this here is that Poison Ivy is getting to know this new character. I don't even know what her name is. I haven't picked up a name for her. All right. But anyways, there's this crumbled little piece of paper that the guy gives to her. They're all being friendly. They're all being kind of cool. And then there's kind of this little paper with some kind of ruins or something. I don't know if this is going to mean something or not, or if this is going to go somewhere. I don't know. So this is also where, while these people are having a conversation, Poison Ivy's kind of having an internal conflict where it's like, man, should I really infect these people with the spore? They seem like some really nice people. So you kind of see that internal conflict where she's talking about like how she likes people as individuals, but she kind of doesn't like them as big groups of people. And guys, I am 100% with her on that one, okay? As individuals, I freaking love people when they're individuals, but I always feel like the most dangerous parts is when people get together and they start doing like groupthink and conformity, and all these psychosocial things kind of go into effect, and you got things like McCarthyism and book burning. But I think what Poison Ivy's trying to say, that she likes people, but she likes them as individuals. And anyway, she's like fantasizing over here, like this little family is like on fire and stuff. So again, we're getting this back and forth with this morality of Poison Ivy, where, you know, one second she's kind of like, oh, I kind of like these people. I kind of feel bad, like that I'm going to have to kill them all. And then on the other page, she's like fantasizing about burning people alive. So I really love that we're exploring that kind of duality inside of Poison Ivy, that turmoil inside of her. Of course, this gets interrupted by the police, man. All right. These poor schmucks, man, they're just trying to do their job, and they walk into the diner and they're trying to find somebody that they're looking for. So, hey, I'm looking for you. And that's when you have this person here, whoever this new girl is, and Poison Ivy, they both turn to her and they're like, who, me? So they're both on the run from the law. They both kind of make a break for it. There's kind of a deal where Poison Ivy's like, when I tell you to run, you run, and then whatever. And then that's what she does. And, you know, she takes out the poor policeman. You know that. She uses her pheromones, which we all know that's one of her oldest tricks in the books. And then, you know, the police officers just kind of die, even though they're just doing their job, man. After all that is said and done, she goes back to her van, right? Now, if you guys remember last issue, there should still be some mushroom bodies in there, or some mushroom zombies or whatever. And this is where she's kind of like starting to lose her mind, right? You can see that she's kind of gets freaked out, and she actually thinks that the Batman's after looking at her. And then we see this symbol here again, which is that symbol that we saw in the notebook. I don't know what it stands for. Some kind of tree rune. I don't know, man. I guess we're gonna find out. But it's not Batman. So she is kind of panicking, and she's like, damn it, I think I'm losing it. And then she kind of looks back into her van, and you still see those decomposing mushroom bodies in the back. But she's like, I think one of them moved. I think one of them was positioned in a different position before I left and I got into the diner. So this is just kind of foreshadowing that perhaps these things are alive. Maybe these things are like mushroom zombies. Maybe this thing's going to turn into a thing where you get like a mushroom zombie and they start consuming plants because they're like decomposers or whatever. And then she's going to have to like turn around and try to stop them. I don't know where this is going, but this is getting good. This is getting a little creepy. Again, fantastic artwork. This is kind of goes back to back when she was Ivy Queen, and this is kind of like saying where this person's accusing her like, oh, you're all about revenge, you know, that's why, because you want to be Ivy Queen or stuff like that. So this kind of takes that into a place. I think this is the only part that I felt was kind of out of place, because they're trying to say that Poison Ivy was kind of like wanting that power back, or she's kind of using like a scorched earth tactic where she's like, well, I don't have the power to be Ivy Queen anymore, so I'm just gonna burn it all down. And I think that one's kind of like a little bit outside of the logic of the picture that we're trying to paint for Ivy, who seems to be a little bit more reasonable. Then we see her drive off, and we continue the letter. Again, a little bit of action. It looks like she arrives somewhere at a motel or something. She's moving towards the West Coast, so again, not a whole lot of action. However, there was some bright spots. There was a lot of exposition here, basically on Poison Ivy's internal conflict and her thinking, which is exactly what we wanted out of this book. As far as for Poison Ivy, we wanted to get to know Poison Ivy more, and I think that G. Willow Wilson has done a great job of so far of getting us going in that right direction. Like, I really want to know where this story is going now. And we still have not seen a villain, guys. We still have not seen a villain, which is kind of interesting. We still haven't seen a bad guy. We still haven't seen a monster. We still haven't seen anything like that. So I feel like the best is yet to come here. Anyways, that's the review, man. You guys be on the lookout for the video that I'm going to be doing for the previews for issue number 3 covers, because we're still hunting down that number 1 Poison Ivy cover that is going to go into our collection, probably get slabbed and put on display with our Batman 181s. We're on the hunt for that, so you guys stay tuned when I do the video for that next week, so we can FOC that shit, guys. So that's gonna be the end of it. You guys stay cool out there and stay hydrated. All right, peace.